witches, it's Taya. How you doing today? All good, I hope. I want to do a quick book review on 6 Ways, Approaches and Entries for Practical Magic by Aiden Wachter. It was self-published in 2018 through Red Temple Press and is a great book on magic. Now, this is not a book on witchcraft. This is a book on magic, specifically on folk magic, on tradcraft, on, it's not like ceremonial high magic. This is the kind of magic that those of us in traditional witchcraft practice. I love it. So Aiden Wachter, his intent for this book was to really share how he actually thinks about and experiences the magical work that he does. So a little bit about why he does what he does, a little bit of context. I find a lot of times books will jump into do this and do this and do this, but they don't really explain why you're doing that. So he really wanted to make sure he kind of put that context in place. It was about sharing technical skills and how to develop them, definitely, and about how to develop a worldview that's used to access other states of being. So those were his kind of 3 intentions for the book. And to sum it up, it was kind of he wanted to share what it has taken him to make, maintain, and deepen his contact with the other world and the spirits of the field. So the other world being like the overworld, the underworld. And the spirits of the field is really, the field is the world itself. Think of it like the middle world. It's where we're living and inhabiting right now, but it's all of the visible and invisible structures and inhabitants that you can deal with in this sort of middle world. So about what it's taken him to make, maintain, and deepen his contact with the other world and the spirits of the field. His general philosophy is what works, works. I love that. It's very simple. What works, works. What doesn't, doesn't. You know, take what works, throw out the rest. And he is sharing what works for him. So he does, like, there's topics like trance work, raising, maintaining, and training your personal power, making offerings, petitions, sigils and servitors, vessels, talismans, right? It's just good general knowledge, but he really goes into, the way he approaches it is just very unique. My favorite chapter of all is the chapter on staying clean. I don't know that I've really encountered a lot of literature that really talks about this idea of staying clean. When you're doing energetic work, when you're putting yourself out there, you're going to attract energies, you're going to have things sort of energetically courting into you, and how do you stay clean from that? It's interesting. It's something that I do a lot in like my intuition training. We've talked a lot about energetically keeping yourself clean. This is the first time I've read about it in a book of magic. So again, his attention to detail is just precise. It's an easy read. It is well written. There are 33 chapters packed into this skinny little book. So each chapter is sort of 2 or 3 pages long. So it's not a difficult read. I was able to sort of, read a chapter or 2, put it down and, process and digest, and then come back and read the next couple of chapters. So it's very well written. Now again, this isn't high magic, this isn't ceremonial magic, this is low magic, this is folk craft, tradcraft. It's getting down in the dirt and doing what needs to be done. And I love that his last chapter is titled Dirt Sorcery. And he shares about this literal box of dirt that he keeps on his altar. And he goes into where it came from and how he put it together. It's not quite that simplistic, but it's literally a box of special dirt that sits on his altar, and he infuses it with his magical intent and then uses a little pinch of that in his candle dressings and his charm bags. And it's just such a charming concept, this idea of dirt sorcery. And he really calls himself a rocks and string kind of guy, which really comes across in his writing. At the end of the day, Aiden Wachter has developed an entire systematic practice of low magic, which is the kind of magic most of us traditional witches practice. So if you're a traditional witch, if you're just practicing witchcraft in general, and you're working with that low magic, the folk magic, get a copy of this book, work through it. It can be a game changer for you. So again, it's 6 Ways, Approaches and Entries for Practical Magic by Aiden Wachter, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. Go get a copy and have fun with it. Thanks, guys.